there's a pastor at First Baptist that was involved with the children's home down in Guatemala, and he started talking about adoption and international adoption, because the fear of what that there is here, and it's not the same way anymore, but well, what if something goes wrong and they change their mind or whatever. But with international adoption, it's usually what the preacher had said is once you leave that runway, that's your child. And they had just passed the law so that saying that anybody under 18 that was adopted is automatically a citizen. So that's where the idea came to go to Guatemala.
Yeah.
That's the first picture of Carlos with Greg, and he's shaking Carlos's hand. There's a bunch of children sitting in high chairs in the children's home in Quetzaltenango, Guatemala, outside of Guatemala City, up in the mountains. And it was called Hogar Cuna. It means cradle, cradle of the children or something like that. Hogar Cuna, yeah.
So at this point, did you know that you wanted to adopt, or you just went?
We had talked about it.
Right.
We had just kind of talked about adoption like that, but then that kind of like sealed the deal.
There were so many children in the children's home, there's no way to pick. But the very last day is when Greg told me that he asked about Carlos. So.
And how old was Carlos?
He was 2 at that time.
Yeah.
And then we got him when he was 3.
When we came home from the first mission trip, we had the picture, and I went around showing everybody, saying, "This is my son. This is my son." So
tell me what that you said it was about a year from the time that you met him until the time that you were able to bring him home. What was that year like?
You're busy and trying to get all the paperwork done, and then you're also, and that's on our side, and then you're waiting on the Guatemalan side, or the foreign side, to do all their paperwork, and they don't always move as quickly as you would like for them to, so it can be a little anxious, and then you just don't know. And it's like we only had I think we found out on Valentine's Day, which was the 14th of February, and then we're down there by the 17th. So you don't have a whole lot of time from the time they tell you, you're able to come get him, and then you do all that paperwork when you get there. We were there a week.
I remember waking up the next morning, and he was standing by the fireplace, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm now responsible for a 3-year-old that didn't grow up with me from a baby, and he's just standing there looking at me. And he only spoke a little bit of Spanish, but enough that we could understand each other. But it was a big learning curve for everybody to learn how to be a parent.
See, I don't think so.
You don't think so? For me, I guess
it just seemed like he's always there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he didn't belong here, like he was always here, but still learning how to parent, to me, was, an
I was just glad
journey.
he didn't have to be fed every 2 or 3 hours. Keep me awake. Right, buddy.
Like I said, you don't have him from an infant, so he comes with this prepackaged little personality. So having to learn his personality, and then him having to get used to being mama, and because I took some time off from work to be with him. I was putting him in his car seat one day, and he took my hand in his hand. And me, could have been a little older than 3, because you actually asked me, "Mommy, why am I brown and you're not?" I think that was the first time I remember him thinking, something's different here.
You know what we always say, people pay good money to be that color. So.
Yeah, that's right. And you got it naturally. But he's also, he's just such a gift and a blessing to us, like any child would be, but he keeps me laughing hysterically. He's got a great sense of humor, talented. He plays piano, taught himself to play piano. And
got the keyboard downstairs.
Really great with children. I mean, little kids just treat him like he's a human jungle gym, and he helps me in the nursery all the time at church. And
But for Carlos, is this ever something that your friends ask about, or is this ever something that comes up in school or anything like that?
Not really. Because in my school, there's a lot of kids who've been adopted, so.
Where do you guys go?
Young Americans Christians.
Yeah. And I think, nowadays, our society nowadays is much different than when I was his age. It seemed everything was much more, I don't know, not segregation like it was back then, but still everybody was still kind of segregated in churches and things like that, and they're just their regular lives, to where nowadays you're much more intermingled, and a lot more culturally open than I guess what it used to.
It's more normal. There's so many different blended families now, and in interracial families, it just doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Nobody seems to question it.
Have y'all been back to Guatemala at all?
I have.
Trips
Yes.
or anything like that since?
I've been about 4 times, I think,
Mm-hmm.
on other mission trips. Carlos hasn't gone back yet. We've talked about it.
He wants to.
Yeah.
He wants to go back. He wants to see. Of course, the children's home is not where it was. They moved to a different town, and it's where there used to be an old timeshare. They bought the property, and it's beautiful. It overlooks a lake, and it's really nice. But the lady that runs the children's home said there are some, they call them the mamas, that helped out with the babies. There's still some of the mamas there that would remember him when he was little.
Do you mind if I ask, do you know who your birth mother was?
No.
Nope, and it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Is what we say. I was watching Blind Side yesterday, that movie with Sandra Bullock. You know what I'm talking about? And you think about, and that's what, you know, the family is the ones that love you and take care of you, and outside of that, it doesn't really matter. How you get together doesn't matter. It's that you're together.